What is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of breast reconstruction? I see this being discussed very commonly on patient forums in regards to breast reconstruction, so let's discuss what it means. When I think about phase 1 and phase 2, I am typically referring to a body-based reconstruction. In my practice, my goal in my flap surgery is to get the flap from wherever we're taking it completely removed from your body and reattach it to your breast. This can take a decent amount of time, and sometimes these surgeries are fairly long. So my goal that whole surgery is just to get the flap happy and healthy in its new home. That's called phase 1. Phase 2 is usually done at least 3 months down the road, and it can really be a multitude of things. And it's either to adjust the flap or do something to the other breast if you just had a one-sided reconstruction. For example, maybe there is a scar that needs revised. Maybe you want to do some fat grafting, which we'll talk about in another video. Maybe you want to add an implant under your flap. If you just had one side reconstruction, maybe you want to do something symmetrizing to the other side, like an implant or a reduction or a breast lift. That is what I consider a phase 2 reconstruction. I consider this different than a 2-stage reconstruction, which is very confusing when we're talking about implants, which is when we place a tissue expander at the time of the mastectomy and then come back in a second stage to take out the tissue expander and put in an implant. I know this is very confusing, but the most important thing to remember from all of this is that it's very rarely a one and done surgery. Whether you choose a body-based surgery or an implant, almost all women have some second stage or second part of that procedure down the road.